Welcome, dear story lovers, to another exciting series. I hope you enjoyed the last two series, The Agony of an Eight-Year-Old and the series on Unrequited Love, of course. This new series is titled How the World Turned Bad. And in this first episode, we will be looking at the correction of an honest heart. Are you ready? Grab your seat and let's dive right in. The morning sun bathed the bustling streets of Accra with golden light as vendors pulled out their wares in the vibrant marketplace. Kofi, a young trader in his late 20s, stood behind his modest produce stall. The scent of ripe mangoes and freshly plucked tomatoes filled the air, blending with the hum of the lively crowd. Unlike many traders in the market, Kofi was known for his unwavering honesty. His vegetables were fresh, his prices were fair, and his scales were always accurate. For Kofi, integrity was a legacy. His late father, also a trader, had always said, "Integrity is wealth, my son. People may forget your goods, but they will never forget your honesty." Those words had guided Kofi since he started his business. Yet, despite his dedication, Kofi struggled to make sales. One hot afternoon, a middle-aged woman approached Kofi's stall. Her name was Auntie Grace, a familiar face in the market. She smiled warmly, glancing at his wares. "Good afternoon, Kofi. Do you have fresh fruits today?" Kofi hesitated. The truth weighed heavily on his conscience. The fruits he had left were the remnants of the previous day, slightly bruised and not as fresh. "Good afternoon, Auntie Grace," Kofi replied. "I'm sorry, but I only have leftovers from yesterday's stock. They are still good, but not as fresh as you might want." Auntie Grace nodded, her smile fading slightly. "Ah, I see. Thank you for your honesty, Kofi. I'll check elsewhere." As she walked away, Kofi's chest tightened. He watched her head straight to the stall across of it, owned by Malik, a flamboyant trader known for his charm and cunning. Auntie Grace repeated her question to Malik, who smiled broadly and gestured to his goods. "Fresh? Auntie Grace, my fruits are as fresh as the morning dew," Malik said confidently, though Kofi knew Malik had bought the same batch of overripe produce from the wholesale market. Without hesitation, Auntie Grace bought nearly everything Malik had. Kofi's heart sank as he watched Malik's stall empty out while his own remained untouched. Later that evening, as the market began to wind down, Kofi approached Malik, unable to contain his frustration. "Malik, why do you deceive your customers like that?" Kofi demanded, his voice firm but calm. "You told Auntie Grace your fruits were fresh when they weren't. That's not right." Malik chuckled, a sly grin spreading across his face. "Ah, Kofi, my brother," he said, placing a hand on Kofi's shoulder. "This is the market. It's not about what's right. It's about what sells. The end justifies the means. Look at you, honest as ever, and yet your stall is always full of unsold goods. Integrity doesn't pay bills." Kofi shook his head, feeling a mix of anger and helplessness. "But what about trust? What about people who rely on us for quality produce?" "Trust?" Malik laughed. "People trust what they see and hear, not the truth. Learn to play the game, Kofi, or you will always lose." Days turned into weeks, and Kofi's struggles grew worse. He barely managed to sell enough to cover his store's rent. His mother's ill health took a turn for the worse, and the cost of her surgery loomed over him like a dark cloud. Kofi visited friends and relatives pleading for help, but their pockets were as empty as his own. One evening, as Kofi sat by his mother's bedside, a frail hand gripping his, she whispered, "Kofi, you have always been a good son. Don't let this world change you. But if there's a way to save me, please don't hold back." Her words, though well-meaning, felt like a dagger. Kofi couldn't bear the thought of losing his mother, but the weight of his financial struggles was crushing him. The next morning, Mr. Mensah, an old trader with years of experience, stopped by Kofi's store. "Kofi," Mr. Mensah said, stroking his gray head, "you are a good man, but the world doesn't reward honesty. If you want to survive in this market, you need to adapt. Buy cheaper produce and tell the customers it is fresh. They will never know the difference." Kofi stared at Mr. Mensah, his chest tightening. He had always admired the old trader, but this advice felt like a betrayal of everything he stood for. "I don't think I can do that," Kofi replied quietly. Mr. Mensah sighed, shaking his head. "Suit yourself, but remember, integrity won't save your store or your mother." Desperation finally broke Kofi's resolve. The following day, he went to the wholesale market and purchased a batch of overripe fruit at a fraction of the cost. When customers asked if the produce was fresh, he forced a smile and echoed Malik's words. "Yes, my fruit are as fresh as the morning dew." To Kofi's surprise and dismay, his sales skyrocketed. For the first time in months, his store was empty by midday. With the profits, he managed to schedule for his mother's surgery. But the triumph was short-lived. That evening, as Kofi counted his earnings, he felt a pang of guilt. He remembered Auntie Gracie's face, how she had trusted him. The betrayal of his own principles gnawed at him. Kofi's new strategy continued to yield financial success, but the guilt never left. One day, a young mother approached a stall with a little boy. She handed Kofi a last CD and said, "Thank you, Kofi. You have always been the one trader we can trust. My son loves your fruits." Her words hit him like a thunderbolt. As the mother walked away, Kofi stared at the coins in his hands, his stomach churning. He realized that his deceit was not just a betrayal of his principles, but also a betrayal of the people who depended on him. Kofi's journey from honesty to corruption was complete, and with it came the sobering realization that the world had forced its hand. Malik's words echoed in his mind. The hand justifies the means. Though Kofi's profits soared, his heart was heavy. He had saved his mother, but at the cost of his integrity. Every smile from a satisfied customer felt like a stab, a reminder of the trust he no longer deserved. In the quiet moments, Kofi would sit at his stall, watching the sunset over the market and wondering if the price of survival was too high. His story became a symbol of how the world, in its relentless demand for success at any cost, turns good people bad. Kofi's stall thrived, but deep down he knew he had lost something far more valuable than money: his peace, his integrity, and his honest heart. And with that, we've come to the end of the first episode, The Corruption of an Honest Heart. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, please kindly subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Remember that this is a story that can make the world great again. You can only achieve this if only to get these words to the right place and places. You can be a part of this by being a subscribed member and sharing this link with your loved ones. Thank you. Until next time.